All right, welcome back to this week's Walk and Talk then. And I know it's a day early. You're probably going, hold on, am I going crazy? What day is it today? No, it isn't Friday, the usual, gosh, it's bright, look at this. It isn't the usual Friday Walk and Talk. I've got to do it a day early this week. I won't do a video tomorrow, I don't think, because I've got a special guest coming in. We might even do something for the channel. It all depends, otherwise we'll do something for his channel. But with that said, let's get on to the top news. This week's Walk and Talk is going to be very heavily finance based. I know the last couple have been more geopolitics, but we need to get onto some finance, and I need to update you on a lot of stuff because there are some crazy things going on. And Bank of America has just put out a dire warning. It was actually in Fortune magazine, this story that has come out, which is interesting because it aligns with a few of the things I was saying previously about this blue collar versus white collar recession. But even what is happening right now is not something that I even thought would happen. And that is that the top earners in the US and, well, other countries as well, but they're focusing on the US, the top earners are the ones that are struggling the most at the moment with this, what they're calling a recession, even though the recession hasn't been announced. And now they're saying that there is no recession, right? There is no recession. The recession's been averted. Of course, they've had to say that because of all the downgrades and everything else. In fact, if you think of the markets at the moment, the different indexes, they have been dropping since the start of the month, which is interesting when you think about that forecast I made for Q3, and I said just watch it very carefully, but it could be anywhere from Q3, i.e. now, through to Q1 of next year. You may see some instability in the markets, especially as all this refinancing of commercial real estate comes through at these much higher rates. And of course, I mean, it's the perfect storm really when you think about it. It's the perfect storm of higher rates, less liquidity available, banks not wanting to take on the mortgages, and they've got all these bad bonds at the moment. And I say bad, but they're fine as long as they hold them to maturity. But a lot of them don't want to hold them to maturity, or they're getting calls for cash. Another reason I think why we're seeing a lot of the liquidity disappearing and all these ATMs and bank branches and the cash disappearing from the M1 supply. There's just a lot going on right now. But this story is interesting because let me just read out this line for you. Unemployment is rising in the top percentage of income earners. So these are 6-figure plus earners. They said that unemployment benefits in this category was 70% higher than the year before for the same time period. And they say that this group of people are going to pull down the market. So this is a warning from Bank of America. They're saying that this higher end group is going to pull down the economy, pull the US into recession, pull down the markets because they're going to be needing to liquidate a lot of their assets in order to maintain their lifestyle and all sorts of other things. Which is interesting as well because Michael Burry, who many of you will know from the Big Short movie, he's the guy that shorted the mortgage market, one of the craziest stories ever, in my opinion, in the world of finance. And his firm, Scion, they've just done a $1.6 billion short on the S&P and the NASDAQ, which is fascinating because if he gets this right, he's going to go down in the history books as the man that got it right twice on 2 calls that no one else was really thinking about. But if he gets it wrong, his legacy is going to be destroyed. I mean, if he does get it right again, I mean, that'll be unbelievable. And I will be impressed. Let me just say that. It takes a lot to impress me, but I'll be very impressed if he gets it right the second time as well. But one thing I do find interesting at the moment is whenever you turn on the TV, which I don't own a TV, by the way, but whenever I look at any media, I find it well, it's not bizarre to me anymore, but all this Bidenomics. And he keeps talking about how, and his whole team, how strong the US economy is, most powerful and strong economy in the world. And even one thing they said, which wasn't true, but no one called them out on it, said, and we've got the strongest growth in the world. No, they haven't. How can you have a developed country with the strongest growth? That doesn't make any mathematical sense. It's developing countries that have the strongest growth because they have the most to grow, not an advanced economy. But anyway, it's a bit like the inflation stuff where people say, oh, it's so great that inflation's coming down. Or more specifically, they say, so great that prices are coming down. No, they're not. Inflation, I mean, this is what we need to teach at school now. Just because inflation's coming down doesn't mean prices are coming down. It means prices are still rising. They're just rising at a slower pace. But anyway, people just don't seem to know the difference here. But coming back to the whole Bidenomics thing and how everyone just seems to believe everything that's being said, that the economy's so strong, there won't be a recession, all this other thing. To break this down and explain it, if you've ever studied, say, World War II and you looked at Joseph Goebbels, and he was basically the propagandist minister 1933 to 45, so the duration. In those years, do you know how powerful and how much knowledge he acquired, which was then taken over by other countries, shall we say. But it was all about mind control and how they got people to do what they did during that war. And I mean, there's so much. I've read a lot of all of his material so I could understand it better, so I could not get caught out by it. But he was one of the first people that sort of coined the phrase, if you want to fool someone and control their mind, just say something 7 times, I think it was, 7 or 8 times. And if you repeat something 7 or 8 times, people will believe it. So that's why you saw a lot of crazy stuff. I'll give you a really good example of this in 2021, where you saw that guy, he went out, it was a viral video, and he was interviewing people on the street. And he said, do you think the unvaccinated should be put in detention camps, like concentration camps, prison camps? And the overwhelming majority of the people said yes. Now, this was in California, so you're going to get a lot of, interesting people over there that say yes. Or maybe he edited the video very heavily, who knows? But what he said was that a lot of people said yes. Now, why would someone say yes to putting just a normal everyday person into a prison camp because they hadn't had a vax? I mean, it doesn't make any sense unless you think about the TV programming that was going on and all the mind control that was going on day and night from the media companies. I won't get too much into it because I know it upsets some people. But again, just go back to look at who controls all the media companies, who owns over 90% of them, and then who owns the pharma companies, and you'll sort of start to see the pattern. But if you want to escape from all this sort of stuff, the easiest way to do it is to just turn off the TV. Just don't even watch TV. I haven't owned a TV in at least 10, if not 20 years. I can't watch the TV because I don't own one. I can't listen to the radio because I don't own one. I can't have things put into my mind all day, every day, which then becomes part of my identity because I don't allow those things into my mind in the first place. But let's get back to the banks and the finance stories here then. And we've got a story, again, this one is all about Fitch. So we talked about Fitch last week and all of the downgrades. Well, now let me just get this out to you here. Fitch warns it may be forced to downgrade dozens of banks, including JP Morgan Chase. Wow, imagine that. Oh, it is so bright. Hold on, let me see if I can turn this way. And I can look at the ocean, but you can't see the ocean here. There we go, that's better. So here's what they're saying. They will have to downgrade a number of banks in the industry from a AA to an A, and that would force them to reevaluate over 70 banks. So they've done 10 downgrades already. They have another 6 here under review, and then there's 11 negative outlooks. Some of these are bigger banks here that they are talking about. Oh, let's go down here. We've never been down here today. Let's have a little walk down here. You know what? I saw the craziest thing when I was walking here the other night. There's a little rock, well, a big rock, should I say, just over there somewhere. And it's on its own. There's nothing else near it. It's not like you can jump across to it. And there were rabbits on this rock, on the top of this rock. How on earth they got there, I don't know. It is an absolute mystery to me how those rabbits got up that sheer rock face and are living on this rock. But anyway, next story. UBS is to pay $1.4 billion over fraud in their MBS, mortgage-backed securities. This dates back right the way to 2008, these frauds. Oh, look at this, here we go. Beautiful, beautiful. Nice clear water here. A lot of seaweed and things, but beautiful. I like to swim around here actually, in a few other places, because it's just so clear, the water is here. So anyway, this is the thing with these big banks. They can tie up all the legal proceedings for years. 2008, fraud. We're now in 2023. That's 15 years of just tying things up with legal proceedings. I mean, it's mind-blowing. It's one rule for the big corporations and another rule for the small people, isn't it? And talking of the small people, have you heard the story about the Bank of Ireland ATMs that's been going over sort of social and stuff this week? So all of these bank ATMs in Ireland, they started just giving out free money. So you had to put your bank details, your card and stuff in, obviously. But it was just spreading on social media that even if you didn't have any money in your bank account, you could go there and you could get out free money. So there's these huge lines of people trying to get all this cash out, and they were getting 1,000 euros, up to 1,000 euros out of this cash machine. So of course the police got called in and they had to go. And this is the thing that amazes me. They had enough police to guard all of these ATMs, yet they haven't got any police to come out when someone gets carjacked, or you know, they get assaulted or they get mugged or something. No, wait a few hours and a police might come out. But the money is being given out for free by ATMs. Gosh, get every police officer on that straight away. Goodness me. But here's where the twist comes in the story. Are you ready? All these people thought they got all this free money. Guess what? The bank then announced, oh, we have all of your details because you put your card in. So the amount that you took has now been debited from your account. And if you didn't have an overdraft, you now have one at an extortionate rate of interest. So very clever indeed, how they turn this accident into a big money maker from obviously the people who haven't got much money in the first place. But then you could say, which I saw some comments saying, well, those people were immoral in the first place, so they deserve it and everything else. I'll leave you in the comments to share your thoughts on that. Next story then is all about UK wage growth. It's gone up 7.8%. The Bank of England are pulling their hair out because obviously they don't want wages to keep going up because it's feeding into inflation. So it's the same story they keep spinning all the time. It's greedy to ask for wage increases. It's greedy, and that, you know, you shouldn't ask for these wage increases. Just accept it. Just accept being poor. Oh yes, that's what you need to do. You just need to accept that you are going to be poorer due to us printing more currency and adding to inflation. Of course, I just added that last bit in there. Got all the flowers out at the moment. So beautiful, look at this. Isn't that lovely? And of course, the BBC was interviewing every NPC they could find on the street and asking them, what do you think about, you know, inflation coming down? Isn't this great? And, you know, they're using all this leading questions. It's great, isn't it? Oh, what do you think about it? You've already told them. So obviously, what do you expect an NPC to say? They're going to say exactly that. Oh yeah, this is great. Prices are coming down. This is wonderful. This means I'll be able to have more money in my household budget. No, that's not what it means. Prices are still going up by 6.8%. Oh gosh, you know, I give up. I really do give up. And you remember it was only last week I was joking about Janet Yellen and how she takes forever to string a sentence together and she's up in the clouds and all of that. Well, this story just came out that she went to China and she was eating magic mushrooms. She says she didn't know about it. Of course she didn't know about it. So it put her into this sort of whatever, you know, for days. She said she didn't realize she was eating magic mushrooms. Well, that explains a lot, I think. And talking of people in a daze, the Target CEO has just come out because they missed their earnings and everything else. Sales are down 5% now already. So they're already suffering. And he says, I'd do it all over again to support our colleagues and these minorities, or whatever word he used. I don't know if it was minorities, in the community, these people that are suffering and everything else. I'm thinking, who's suffering? Who is suffering in the community? I really don't know. But what do I know? I am a white, male, straight, all the worst characteristics. So anyway, Target CEO, I'm going to do it all over again. Oh yeah, next year we're getting ready for the next campaign. This won't put us off, and all this other stuff. Yeah, good luck with that. But getting back to the UK anyway, let's get off that topic. Getting back to the UK, Sunak, the Prime Minister, has been told by the NFU, National Farmers Union, that the UK needs to be more food independent, and that the UK is only growing 60% of its own food. The other 40% is being imported. And they're warning Sunak not to reduce the farming supply. So they're being very diplomatic about how they're saying it. But you and I know the truth. We know what's going on. This is a big, organized plot, not just throughout the UK, it's everywhere across these Western countries, to reduce the number of farms. This isn't a conspiracy, this is a fact. We've covered it in multiple videos. Oh, we got some seals today and some birds. They're making a lot of noise back there. But yeah, 40% of the food is imported. Is that a good idea? I think not. I think that most countries should be fairly self-sufficient. It doesn't make sense to be self-sufficient in everything, because that's how globalization works on the positive side anyway. Obviously there's some negatives to it. Oh, we got another, seals everywhere today. Let me see if I can show you. This seal here, he's just popping his head up. And there's about 7 or 8 as well in the water there. Another few over here. Actually, while I'm here, look at this. This is some sort of old house or building here. What I find fascinating or bizarre about the island is that a lot of people, they don't know what these structures are. It's as if there's been a time gap between a lot of these structures and the newer buildings that exist. There was some steps here before, they're not there anymore. But yeah, there just seems to be this time gap between construction materials, which is very, very strange that no one seems to know why. But anyway, there's Jeremy Clarkson's old house there, the lighthouse, Langness. But let's go on to a couple of the more interesting stories then. That's fine. Well, we have got one more finance story, but let's go on to the more unusual stories that I like to save for the end. So this wacky story just came out overnight. 2 Royal Marine Commandos, or former Royal Marine Commandos, were attacked whilst trying to do a world record attempt, and they were attacked by pirates. And the reason the story is so crazy is because they were shot. They were each shot several times by these pirates. They managed to jump out of their canoe, get onto the pirates' boat, drown them, get their gun, and shoot them. Right? Not that the BBC covered that part. The BBC just covered the part that, you know, they were attacked and, you know, whatever else, and shot. But one of the comments made me laugh, because obviously it's on a lot of YouTube channels and media platforms and forums already. But one of the comments really summed up the culture now. And it was, hold on, let me read this out. I've got it here. Here it is. Shame on these guys. So they're talking about the Royal Marines. Shame on these guys for just leaving them there without medical help. What? So hold on. These guys were attacked and shot, and they got the guns and shot these guys and left them there bleeding out in the water, whatever. And someone says, shame on them for not getting the medical. I mean, is this for real? This is why I honestly think there's so many of these bots in the comments and stuff. The very fact, and the other thing that made me laugh about these two Marines was that they actually made a video.
Been shot twice. Jan and I just had a couple of lads come up to us, pulled the weapon on us, and then we wrestled with them under the water. Got shot again in the leg, managed to drown him, got his gun off him, and then we basically tried to swim back.
We've got the weapon, there's like 4 rounds in it left, we don't need it anymore.
Right, let me tell you what I would be doing. I'll be very clear. If I'd just been shot twice, I wouldn't be in my canoe making a video about it and showing everyone the bullet holes and everything else like that. I would be paddling as fast as I could to find some sort of civilization and get help right away. I wouldn't be making a video, but fair play to those guys. Very calm, very collected in making this video and explaining the situation. So yeah, I'm just glad that they made it. And the other thing that made me laugh was he said, oh, I haven't got the use of my bicep because the bullet tore through. But he said he wants to go back within 12 months and they want to reattempt the world record again. 12 months after getting shot multiple times. Fair play to those guys. Let me just say that. Okay, next one then. We've got a scandal. We've got a scandal. HP printer ink scandal. I'm actually amazed that it's taken this long for this to come to trial, because I got rid of my HP printer years ago when I watched a documentary that said the printer ink is more expensive than gold, or was it gold? No, something like that, some sort of liquid. They said it was one of the most expensive liquids in the world, nothing else compared. And I thought, this is crazy, because I print a lot. Obviously I do a lot of research. I thought, no, I'm not using this printer and these cartridges, this ink any longer because it's too expensive. So I bought myself an Epson. Not recommending Epson because they do little scammy things as well, and I'll tell you about one in a minute. But they have these refillable ink tanks. So what you do is you just buy your ink in big, massive bottles, and you just keep refilling the tank. I don't think I've refilled mine in 6 months. So it probably cost me 15 pounds for 6 months worth of ink. So here's the little trick, and I'll tell you a secret here. Epson do this, HP, a lot of them do it. They say things like, oh, the printer's no good anymore, you're gonna need to get a new printer because it's not working and everything else. So people throw away these printers all the time. It usually happens around 10,000 printed pages. So someone actually gave me a printer. They said, oh, it's no good, 10,000 pages. And this is one of these refillable ink tanks. So first thing I did a quick search on YouTube to find out about how to, can you repair it? And this guy said it's a big scam, and that all you have to do is open the back and there's a secret ink tank in the back. So I found it, I opened it and it was full. So I emptied this tank and the sponges, and then I reset the printer. It worked perfectly. So this guy spent £400 on this printer. He said, oh, you can have it, I'm throwing it away. So I got a printer for free. So don't get caught out by a lot of these things. But anyway, HP is now they're taking HP to court over all of this. And that even the printer, it won't even do scanning or do anything, because it says the ink level's low. And then it does these self-cleaning things and everything else where it uses a load of the ink for cleaning when it doesn't actually need to use it for cleaning. So there's all these sort of scammy things that go on you got to be aware of. No, you're all right, you're fine. Sometimes people don't like being in the video. I don't want to blur faces, so. Here we go.
No, she doesn't care at all.
She's all right, is she?
You chose a good day. You wouldn't want to do this tomorrow.
No, it's going to be,
Wet.
yeah. It's going to be wet tomorrow. All right, I better get on.
Okay, right, cheers.
See you later. It's always good when you meet people who have watched your videos and really like it, but they were just laughing about some of the stuff that I've been talking about. But anyway, where did I get to? Oh yeah, last couple of things then. The capital of Haiti now, Port-au-Prince, is pretty much owned by 7 major gangs. So there's 80% of the city that are now no-go areas, and the police don't even want to. In fact, the police saying they don't get paid enough to tackle these gangs. It is just all out mayhem there. So this report I was reading said that a lot of these people from Haiti are now going to be heading towards the US.
The security situation in Haiti today is comparable to countries that are presently at war. Emboldened criminal gangs have seized control of nearly about 80% of the Haitian capital. Kidnappings, loot, rape and killings have sowed terror in the hearts of communities.
A nation of more than 11 million people has been taken hostage by an estimated 7 major gang coalitions. Violent crimes such as kidnapping for ransom, armed robbery and carjackings are disturbingly common.
Lawlessness is everywhere. Societal fabric is breaking down as well. So this is what's going to keep happening. You're going to continue to see all of these breakdowns and all the stuff that's going on. Oh, here we go. We got trouble. Got some trouble. Oh, it's always the little ones. Let's watch this. No, he's all right, it's fine. Off they go. No, but I've got to tell you the craziest thing that I heard this week. Very disappointing. The new Barbie movie, which I haven't watched and will never watch ever. But this movie has generated over, here, let me give you the numbers. Over $537 million, making it the highest grossing movie in Warner Brothers' 100-year history. And they said it even beat The Dark Knight, which is obviously a great movie. I'm glad it didn't beat The Dark Knight Rises, but then I looked at the stats and it actually has. It's beaten The Dark Knight Rises, one of the most highly acclaimed movies ever created in history. And it's been beaten by Barbie. Okay, this tells you the state of the world right now. And also this movie's been banned in a number of countries as well, by the way. But anyway, if people are voting with their pocketbooks, they're going to see it. You're going to see more of this kind of stuff. Gosh, well, at least I can enjoy the coast here. I can enjoy the sea and take my mind off the woes of the world. But I hope you enjoyed today's walk. I've got to rush now, I've got to get straight back. I won't even be able to enjoy a nice hour-long walk here. I've got to get straight back. I've got to edit this video quickly, and I've got to get the course ready for launch to the private community this weekend. It will be ready for you next week on the video platform. So thanks a lot for watching. I really appreciate you as subscribers. Take care, God bless, and I'll see you next time.